But let's now take you to the floor of the Rock. That's where ActionSA is currently briefing the media.
Party on the board, according to our understanding, and we think that that number can improve. It is very important to also make the point that we are looking at likely to deliver between 4 and 5 seats of the Gauteng provincial legislature. And it's got to be said that the decline of the ANC below 50 in a number of places has obviously been an effort of a number of political parties, but similarly ActionSA has once again contributed significantly to that, because as a political party we do stand out as a party that win votes away from the ANC, and we've always regarded that to be critical, because change can only come from bringing seats across the aisle into the change agenda. I think it's also very important to contextualize these remarks to say there's still 9,000 voting stations outstanding at this point, and a huge number of them are taking place in the metros and in the townships of the metros of Gauteng, which is ActionSA's strong base and our stronghold. We anticipate that these numbers will continue to come in. We know the results from our party agents, and they're going to continue to drive up that percentage to the point where we believe we will be between 5 and 7 seats in the National Assembly at the end of the day. I think the important point to make as well that ActionSA has run a very strong campaign. We've run a positive campaign. It's been a campaign predicated upon solutions and being solution orientated. We haven't spent a lot of time talking about other political parties, rather talking about why people should vote for us. We've presented a manifesto that we regard to be one of the most credible manifestos presented in this election. And certainly we have built structures on the ground that are going to last way beyond this election, because the work of building the alternative in South Africa doesn't finish in 2024. It's going to continue to 2026 and beyond, and those structures are going to prove valuable. We haven't been a party that's only existed in terms of social media and on posters. We've gone all the way to build structures that have been vital. And I think it's important to contextualize in a very tough election showing in an environment where, let's be clear, many of the political parties in Parliament will not be going back, in an environment where many of the political parties have suffered severe reverses, and in an environment where many of the new political parties will not be finding their way to Parliament at all. ActionSA is talking about going from 0 to 5 to 7 seats in the National Assembly. Representation in Gauteng and the Northwest certainly looking promising at this stage. And these are numbers that we stand by, we are proud of, and at the end of the day, they provide a platform for us going forward, even if they weren't the numbers we were truly looking for in this election. And I think if you don't mind, with those remarks, the last thing I want to say before we hand over is it's hugely important to express the incredible appreciation the broad leadership team has to the structures of ActionSA, the volunteers. You will never know, as the South African people, what volunteers in a political party do when you're not state funded and you don't have access to resources. They put in the hours, they work the ground, and they do it for nothing other than the love of their country, and they are the true heroes of ActionSA. And we also must express the appreciation to the South African people. At the end of the day, political parties should not be patting themselves on the back for results. It's the South African people who give them those results. And at the end of the day, we express our appreciation to them as well. With those remarks contextualizing, I hand back to you, Lerato, and to the President. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Michael. I won't take too much time. I think the President has the last word.
Okay, thank you very much, members of the media. Thank you for showing interest in ActionSA's response. And I really apologize for not making it out here yesterday, because we are still obviously trying to consolidate and making sense of these numbers, because these numbers is not really what we expected. And I think for us as a political party from day one, we were really very bullish. Make no mistake, and I think bear in mind we're a 3.5-year-old political party that was never represented in the National Assembly before. Here's an opportunity for us for the first time to really go out there. And I think, for me in particular, really coming from a trading background, really used to push our guys, go out there and make sure that you market our party as much as we could. Under very difficult, really limited resources, but we used our resources quite effectively, like we did in 2021. Remember in 2021, no one saw us coming. And this time around, obviously, coming to the national picture, going into 9 provinces, given the 3 years that we were given, we really boxed beyond our size, because we gave that impression, and that's really how human beings have got to really express themselves. But one thing that I think we missed seeing was the emergence of the MK party. I mean, it really obviously took all of us by surprise. I mean, I think no one can really dispute the effect of the MK party, the party of a former president, something that I don't know if it has ever happened anywhere else in the world. But in our particular case, it has happened, and it has impacted on our performance. But are we going to commit suicide? Absolutely not. We are sending a team of committed South Africans to the National Assembly, to the provinces where we have representation, and actually care ourselves for the future, because fortunate enough with our constitutional framework in this country, you contest now, I can tell you Monday we're going back to our drawing board. We've got to start preparing for national elections. Sorry, for the local elections in just over 2.5 years' time. And you can imagine now the number of municipalities, because in 2021, strategically at the time, because of COVID and our resources, we only decided to contest 6 at the time. Now this time, our Senate will be meeting early next week to really decide the way forward in terms of taking this campaigns to the next level, because we've got a foundation now. We are now represented, as much as we did not get the kind of results that we wanted, but that's life. As Michael has indicated, tell me of other parties who's happy here. The only party that's really happy in this arrangement this time is MK, and to some extent the Patriotic Alliance. Everyone is actually bleeding. So for us as a party, we've got to really take ourselves really seriously, because our representation in the National Assembly in the province is the first time. So it's a milestone. It's a major achievement for us. I mean, at the time we pushed the Senate to say, guys, we want 5 to 7% representation, and obviously the impact of MK has negatively impacted us. But we're going to have, as Michael has also indicated, we'll have 5, 6 or so members of parliament to ensure that we can take our message across, and hopefully also how the other parties have in the past taken our taxes to fund the political parties. ActionSA will really benefit from that, and will use that money correctly. I'm sure you guys know very well my family's role in setting up this movement for South Africans, and it's something that I'd really like to really thank people of South Africa, be the voters, our activists, really played a key role, and you guys in the media, to be honest with you, as the media, you guys were there, you were interested in our story. You expected us to really be the one causing the shake-up, but unfortunately MK came into the picture. But one thing that ActionSA is not really going to give up is on our solutions, on our policies. We had a very successful policy conference last year, which actually appealed to most South Africans, more especially some of you guys as journalists. Our offering very strong in terms of our approved policies, and we are not going to really give up on this. We want the non-racial South Africa. We are not going to compromise. I've always said on day one, on the 29th of August 2020, when we launched ActionSA, I was unapologetic, because I'm not the kind of person that stands on a fence. I said, if you're looking for a racial party, please go somewhere else. I don't really want to really build for my grandchildren a racial society. We have to strive for a non-racial society. We're not going to give up on that. We are not going to give up on our rule of law. rule of law, in terms of fighting corruption. Corruption will still be treated as public enemy number one, because corruption has really destroyed lives of South Africans. We have to really have independent institutions that must actually drive the process of making sure that there's no political interference in how our law enforcement agencies work. And I think we must be grateful as South Africans now that ANC has got no majority any longer to push the agenda and protect one another. Those days are gone. The day when someone presents the Pala Pala report to be discussed, all the parties are going to discuss it, and ANC does not have the majority any longer. And I think if we look at us as ActionSA, I'm sure you guys can do your analysis. We've really played a key role in bringing the ANC down. I made this commitment when we launched the party. In fact, when I joined the political arena in 2016 as the mayoral candidate for the DA, I went into politics, leaving my business, successful business, to say, I don't want to really be a politician, and I don't want to live in this country. I've got to really go and dirty my hands. And that's what I did. I took the ANC out. Remember, Pakistan never thought he was going to lose Johannesburg. Lost it. Look at it now in Gauteng. For some of you who were at our event the other day, I said Panyaza is the last ANC premier. And there is it. It's happened. I mean, it's given. It's out. And also ANC is out at the national level. Would have really been wonderful, because we wanted us as ActionSA to lead this charge. But as I indicated, and I keep repeating, the MK factor came to play. But with a player, we'll have what? Also 4 or 5 members in the province of Gauteng. We are not going to give up on the borderless country, where people are asking South Africa to be a borderless country. We are not going to compromise on the sovereignty of our country. We stand by it. It is non-negotiable. South Africa it's a sovereign country. Our borders must be protected. People coming into this country must come here legally, and when they are here, they must respect our laws. That's why South Africa today, we're the murder capital of the world, we're the rape capital of the world. We have allowed the drug syndicates to come into our country, destroy our youth, our families, and our way of life. Anyone expecting us as ActionSA to be silent on that, they must know we're going to intensify. Now we've got a platform in Parliament to address this. Now we are also got a voice in Parliament to push the exploitation of our cleaners, our EPW workers, and so forth. It's a system, for me, capitalist as I am, but I'm a capitalist with a social conscience. We cannot, I'm not really prepared, and as ActionSA, we're not really prepared to give up on this. We are going to push to make sure that all 3 spheres of government, people must get permanent jobs and get a dignity of a permanent employment. And we want to drive that, and we are not going to give up. We've got a platform to push it officially in Parliament. We'll have an opportunity to push it in the provinces. We're not going to give up on that. I think also, probably in closing, I would really like as ActionSA to really bring to attention, because obviously, ever since Wednesday, even personally, I was an impression when I saw your large queues in Soweto and other areas. I thought it was a larger turnover. We knew we had 27.7 registered voters. So up to really this morning, discovered no, man, the hiccups had nothing to do with a larger turnover. I think we're really asking, we are going to really push this matter in the National Assembly to get more money for IEC to really have the capacity to provide a credible election. Not that we doubt what they've done, but I think we have to really fight for them to get more money, get professional people, get technology to assist them to run elections that the people cannot question. I mean, this morning I was supposed to have been here early. I had to cancel the coming here because all of a sudden, as I finished the shower just about then I see television that the system is down. We cannot have these issues because, unfortunately, there's this huge trust deficit between politicians and the public. That's why our people are not voting. I cannot really believe in a country of 60 million South Africans, almost 14 eligible voters, only 27.7 million turn out to vote in a country with the highest sustainable unemployment rate in the world. I mean, if you look at it, South Africans, we should really be having the highest voter turnout because we're not happy with what's happening. In fact, well, I'm sure you're aware, the markets are already reacting negatively about really what really transpired. So South Africans also, I saw one report, one international organization did a study. South Africans are buying less groceries. It means people have got less money. We the meta capital, 86 of us being made each day. So I think we need to get and capacitate IEC to get people to go out and vote. But obviously you can imagine if you want to get even let's say 30 million people to go out and vote, if IEC is not properly capacitated, you can imagine the disaster. You know, so I think for us as ActionSA, we just want to really make it really very clear that that's really one of the issues when we go into Parliament. When we are saying, guys, IEC needs to really be capacitated. Political parties, they've given themselves an extra 200 million on top of the 1.3 which they were getting already, reducing support on institutions that we need really very badly. We need to establish independent Chapter 9 institutions. Colleagues and fellow South Africans, I'm sure no one will ever accept to have a situation where we have a president that must decide who must be charged or not charged. I think we need law enforcement agencies that are going to operate and be able to operate without any fear or favor. And those are the advantages that as ActionSA have got now, a platform to go and raise those issues. And yeah, and most of the stuff, I think, if you'd allow me to share them with our Senate, we'll arrange to really have a in-person Senate meeting to reflect on this, and obviously immediately thereafter we'll call another press conference to actually share with you our plans for 2026. Personally, there's still 200%. I'm more committed in fixing this country than I had when I actually accepted the responsibility. More committed because the kind of results we've received, honestly, they're scary. Very scary. It's not really, they're not really good for this country. So, but at the end of the day, we accept the outcome. But in the outcome, the only way we must fix it is by getting the voters to come out and look for political parties like us as ActionSA that promises them to unite South Africans to really be one nation along behind one flag. We must push for a free market economy where we can protect the private sector to ensure that all these factories in Babelech, in the Harangua, where I started Black Line in 1985, those factories must be reopened, but they can only be reopened if obviously there's the right kind of political climate. And I can tell you, I don't know, honestly, you guys don't have to be rocket scientists to understand that these outcomes that we've achieved really very scary for anyone. How we could political parties are going to put in coalitions. You think we had challenges with local government. I mean, this is going to be a nightmare. Complete nightmare. So, but we're happy and we're really looking forward. We'll call you after actually engaging our colleagues in Senate to really give us the way forward. And thank you very much for the media to having interest in ActionSA. I know you expected us to have done much better than we did.
So I do want to say, colleagues, I'm going to take questions now. I know that everyone is looking for.
Sure.
We're all looking for those answers. Here's one thing that we want to make vehemently clear. ActionSA came in and we disturbed the political establishment. Everything that you see today, the top 5, the top 6, whoever those parties may be, We are the ones who say South Africans deserve to have a professional public service. We are the ones who said we need our immigration laws and policies relooked and tightened because we need border control and we need border integrity and we need sovereignty of our state in this government. We are the ones who said you must put on the map the issue of drug and drug abuse and substance abuse in this country. We are the ones who said corruption is public enemy number one.